asking Mother, Uncle John, about some of your childhood in Michigan, and I asked Mother about holidays as a girl, and maybe you had any comments about that.
Holidays?
Yeah, you know, Christmas or...
Well, Christmas was always an exciting time, I'll say that. We were, for the 2 weeks before Christmas, school was so exciting we didn't do much else besides get ready for Christmas program and learn poems and plays and whatnot.
Songs.
And on Christmas, on the night of the program, every family brought a lamp or a lantern to light the place because we had no electricity. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Thanksgiving meant chicken usually.
We never had turkey.
No, we sold the turkeys. We had to,
Yes.
turkeys were for sale, not to eat.
George, over here, maybe.
Yeah, Bob was there in that red chair.
Listen.
Yeah.
Like
Mother told me a story one time about Grandpa Mathews, your father, taking your mother to the train when was it her mother died? What do you remember that?
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Yep. The snow was so deep in Union, on the line that goes through Union City that the trains weren't even running. And Pop took Mom and Arthur Jr. to Batavia, which was about 14 miles, I would say, close to it, wasn't it, George?
12 anyway.
12 anyway, in the bobsleds, and they had blankets and robes and so forth, and straw in the bottom of the sled. And he got over there, and that train was 7 hours late because the snow was so it was so drifted.
Mm-hmm.
It was terribly cold. It was the year of the big blizzard. As I remember, huh?
1918, was it?
18. As I remember, that night it went to 33 below zero here, which was the coldest I ever knew it to.
it was 30 below though several times that winter.
Yeah, we had a bad winter that year. We didn't get any mail for 3 weeks there at one stretch.
Do you remember any more about it, George?
No, but I know you didn't use the road. You just went across the fields.
I can remember a lot more about that.
Down there at that 60, went right across the field.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the call came, John?
No.
I do just as well as if I were right in that kitchen now.
Tell about it.
Well, Pop was out doing chores, and Mama had gone back to see her mother in the fall, I think it was, and she said, then I won't go to the funeral. And then the long-distance call came when Pop was out doing chores in the evening. And then if a long-distance call came, it was usually a death in the family. It was very serious. And she took the call, and Pop came in, and she threw her arms around him, I can't tell this, and crying, and she told him what had happened, and he says, you want to go, don't you? And she said, I do want to go. And so he said, well, I don't know where we can get you, because the trains aren't running. And so he called George Gray, the only one who had his car operating in the winter here in town, and he thought maybe he could get him down to Batavia. But George Gray said, I can't get out of town. There are no roads open. I can't do it. So he took the bobsleds and roaring beds and went down there. And at one place, the snow was so deep that he couldn't see. He just urged the horses out, and they went through the drifts, even though he couldn't see the horses. It was that deep.
That was a horrible day.
Well, that was a real winter.
Yeah.
We didn't get the whole story, did you?
Well, there were no snow plows then. There were no heavy equipment to open the roads. The only way you opened the roads was the neighbors would get out with scoop shovels and shovel pads.
Well, I did that too. The roads weren't like they are now. Brush along the side.
Oh yeah.
And they just drifted over.
Oh yeah.
Full of
There's
snow.
a little more to that story. We children had never had a babysitter. We didn't know, well, there wasn't any such thing then. We'd never been with anyone but our parents. But because Mama was taking Arthur Jr. and I was 7 and you were 5 or 6. You were 6 probably then. And John was 9
probably. I don't
And so they went over and they called and got Nathalie Carpenter to stay with us children while they were gone, because it was a whole day for Pop to take her down to Acadia with the horses. And he brought Nathalie over there, and then they left. And Nathalie swept the shed. The shed. We called it the shed, the summer kitchen part,
the
the
old
back
back room, yeah.
We never swept that in the winter ever, but Nathalie swept that shed that day. And she and John fought the whole day.
Well, kept it warm anyway.
She kept the fires going, and they never did get along anyway, so they fought the whole day.
I think he got back about 4 o'clock, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, but I remember that I went out to the barn with him when he came home, and that snow used to drift over the chicken house.
Yeah.
It was taller than I was. I couldn't see over it. And that snow was going right across the top, and the sun shining through it. Sunset.
Oh,
Boy, it was a vicious night.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And as we played, we would just go right from that roof right on over the snow. The banks were that solid.
Yeah. Yeah, we were snowed in that year.
Wasn't it this, you could reach up and grab on the telephone wires?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know how long it was that we didn't get mail.
About 3 weeks, because Ed Carpenter somehow got into town and got the mail for the entire neighborhood. And Pop sent me across lots to Ed Carpenter's to get our mail. And I think there were 5 fences, and I never climbed to one. I walked over the top of every one of them.
Didn't the bobsleds go over the tops of the fences too?
Well, it didn't in places,
I thought
because
they
that
did.
snow, we had 2 days of that blizzard. 2 full days at least, maybe 3, I'm not sure which now. And we never saw the barn from the house during that time.
It was the 3rd day, John.
It was
Pop
third.
got up and to build the fires, and he said, "I can see the barn." And that was the
But
first he'd
anyway,
seen the barn for the 3rd
That
day.
wind was so violent that it packed that snow, and I saw horses walk on that drifted snow and never break through. And when it thawed in the winter, in the springtime, I saw fences pulled right down with that snow. You saw that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Broke boards, and board fences just pulled them right down and broke the boards.
And I know we had tunnels to the various places.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that was a storm.
That was a vicious winter.
and cold, it was just terribly cold. Of course, the water pail always froze in the kitchen.
I remember one morning, Mom got up to get breakfast, and the tea kettle was frozen solid. Right on the stove. Fire, of course, had gone out, and the tea kettle was frozen solid.
The only fire we had was in the living room, and
Yeah.
we had no heat in our bedrooms.
Oh, it was never heard of it.
No.
Was that the year that that guy east of Arbogast died?
Old Charlie Knapp croaked right during that storm, and they couldn't get out to pick him up, so they just left him. And Pop says, "Well, as cold as it is, old Charlie will keep well anyway."
Is that where there was it?
Huh?
Wasn't that there on the other side of
Follow the story here,
Adolph Road?
Cheryl.
Yeah.
I
The
thought
old
you said
barn's still there,
Arbogast
the old
was
barn is
taken.
still there.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
follow one of these
I
codes.
didn't realize that was the winter that happened. It was, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, Charlie will keep well, but,
Like, how long did they keep him? I mean, we were talking
well, I don't
about
know,
weeks or...
we got out there with a pair of bobsleds and hauled him in.
Mary, you didn't get in on the first part of that. Have you ever heard the story of that when
What?
grandmother Wagoner died?
Yeah, I think so, and Grandpa took Grandma to Batavia to catch the train.
Yes.
And it took him all day.
The train was 7 hours late over there, and the trains weren't running at all through Union City. The snow was so deep on the tracks, they couldn't get through.
You didn't have telephones in that day, did you?
Yes,
Oh,
we
yes,
did.
we
Yeah.
did.
Okay.
The crank phones. And John is remembering that it was 33 below that night, the coldest he'd ever seen.
That's the coldest I ever saw here.
And then Mama went down there, and they'd had such very cold weather down there. And the day of the funeral, Uncle Fred went out and said the eaves are dripping.
Yeah,
And that
it got up
it
to,
broke.
it got up to about 33 degrees, I believe they said.
Favorable location, probably.
No.
Our neighbor had a bobsled with a kind of a cage in it.
Well, we didn't have any
No,
such
there's
luxury as that.
nothing like
We were
that.
poor people.
Just
Yeah, they
a
would-
box with the sides on it, about so high.
Straw on the bottom.
And I think we had the soapstone probably for Mama, and they
Fire
dressed
iron
us
or
as
something.
warmly as they could.
What did they, like, did they wear something over their faces, or?
Well,
Yeah.
scarves, yeah.
Now, did you have a buffalo robe or 2 or 3? Or?
Pop had the
No
horse
buffalo. We
hide.
didn't have any buffalo.
Pop Pop
around
had the
here.
horsehide.
Had a horse- Huh?
Pop had the horsehide overcoat.
Oh, well, yeah, but talking about robes.
No.
Yeah,
We
we
had
had,
horse blankets and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you had probably some kind of a robe.
We had a robe, it was an imitation fur, but it was pretty good.
Oh, you
robe.
had one.
Yes, and then we had a white one that was what was that one?
Oh, that was a rug.
But we did have that brown, it was imitation fur too.
Yeah.
It was from something.
We had that in the buggy we drove to high school.
I guess so.